Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Storm Collectibles Mortal Kombat Liu Kang and his dragon, which is not his dragon, I know, but I wanted to say that just for a split second to let the Mortal Kombat people feel that irk that the Naruto people feel sometimes. Can you feel an irk? I'm not sure, I've never tried. Okay, so this guy is, in many ways, one of the best Storm Collectibles figures to date. And in one way, it's one of the most bothersome. It doesn't have that much to do with the actual figure, though it's kind of an interesting thing. So let's go ahead and get him off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just about 17.5 inches to the top, centimeters to the top of his head, and that's going to make him about, let's just call it 6 7/8. Here he is up against Marvel Legends Darwin. He has some size to him. Not a ton, but some size. Definitely not 1/12 scale. Okay, let's do a quick question of the day. Who of the human characters is your favorite from Mortal Kombat? I am okay with Liu Kang. I was always a big Kung Lao fan until the Storm figure came out, and I wasn't pleased with it at all, so now I'm going to go back to Liu Kang. Okay, two quick things to mention before we continue. One is just that these guys are exclusive to Big Bad Toy Store for US online retail at this point going forward. No longer a Bluefin thing. It is Big Bad Toy Store for online retail in the US. In case you're wondering where to get them, that's where I get them. That's where they suggest you get them, because that's the only place they're doing it with. Okay, and then the other thing is I'm doing a live stream from now on every month, last Saturday of the month, Eastern Time. So if you want to participate in that, just tune into the channel the last Saturday of the month, Eastern Standard Time, and you can hang out. We're just going to chat. I'll answer questions if you guys have them. We're going to talk about action figures and pop culture stuff and just kind of hang out for a while. I'll do a small giveaway every stream just for fun, and if you don't want to show up just because I'm not saying what the giveaway is, then don't. That's not really the point. But that is what we're going to be doing. So the last Saturday of every month right here on the channel. Alright, let's get into the review. Aesthetically speaking, this is one of my favorites from Storm. Especially for the Mortal Kombat line, because it is not especially exaggerated. He's not very squatty and thick and bulky and chunky. That's been a real problem for the Street Fighter line. We've had some that aren't that way. Mortal Kombat hasn't had that so much, but they've had the big upper bodies. Like the ninjas had big arms and big chests and things, which is good. But their legs were usually short. So there's been some weirdness going on throughout. I think this is one of their most balanced looking figures. So I like that a whole bunch. I like the skin tone a lot. There's shading throughout the skin tone. Hopefully you can pick up that shading on there. It's very subtle, very, very subtle, but that's good. Looks really nice and natural. The skin, actually most of the figure is matte. I'd say the pants are satin, and then the metallic's metallic, but it's not like super glossy or anything. I think it's one of their better looking figures. The faces, not the best thing in the world, but definitely better than some of the other ones. Kung Lao, way better than some of the other ones. And then the paintwork is really clean, so it looks to me like Storm is stepping up their game a little bit here. I like it. There is a little bit of weirdness in the sculpt of his abdomen. Like, I don't mind when they make the abdomens a little bit more round to accommodate articulation, but he's missing, like, he's got pretty defined muscles everywhere, but his oblique section and the serratus muscles down here, they just kind of disappear. So it's kind of weird shape, and they're not as detailed as they could be, but you're probably not going to notice that once you pose him. And I think it does look really good. I like the proportioning overall a whole bunch. There's a little bit of weirdness in the chest where these arm pieces go, these little caps. Could be a little bit more natural looking, but that's the way Storm does it, and it's not going to matter once you pose it. So aesthetically speaking, I'm very pleased. I love the shading on the skin tone. I like the skin tone a whole bunch, and the cleanliness of the whole thing. Very, very pleased with that. I'm going to give him a 9. I'm going to give him a 9. But here's the thing we have to talk about. I'd give him a 9 if he was a single release. But, and this is kind of a question of the day, but we have to talk about this. You are forced to get the dragon form of him. And I can't even fit the tall thing because he's so darn tall. Fit this thing on the camera. You're forced to buy this. It's 180 bucks for the main figure and this, which means you're paying about $85 for this. I'm guessing some of you would have wanted it. I probably would have gotten it anyway, but I'm guessing a lot of you didn't want the damn dragon, especially for almost double the cost. So because you're forced to pay for this glorified accessory, which again, it's technically fine, but since there's no option for him without it, and it almost doubles the price, I have to include that overall price in the calculations. So I'm going to drop him down to an 8. I'm going to knock him down 1 point for the aesthetic, just because essentially you're paying $180 for him. Yes, you get this, but I don't know if it's not enough to justify the price bump, if you ask me, because it's not like a whole new figure, not really. And once you see it up close, not really. Actually, let's go ahead and do some up close. Like, okay, so the sculpt work for the scales and everything, it's all fine. It's all just green with light green, so there's shading throughout. I'm gonna get to the head, I know. It's done well enough. The claws are painted. The underside's painted. Like, it's fine, but is it worth an extra $85? I don't know. It looks pretty good, but to not have an option to not buy it is a little bit strange to me. So it's fine aesthetically, but it doesn't impress me. It's nothing crazy good. It's just good enough to be a unique thing. He's too damn tall for the widescreen. So yeah, it's 180 bucks for this set. So I'm gonna have to judge this thing a little bit harsher because we're forced to pay $180 for this set. So yeah, I'm gonna give him an 8 for the aesthetic. All right, let's talk about the accessories. 3 different heads: neutral head with kind of a look on his face, and then yelling head. I think they're all pretty good. Like I said, they're not the best thing ever, not necessarily the best likeness to what I would want the character to look like, but it's fine. It's definitely all right. For hands, we get the 2 fist hands, and you get a whole bunch of different open hands. I don't know how I would describe them all separately. So a bunch of different open hands for different poses. Plenty of options there. You do get his blast effect, which is really nicely done, nice and transparent plastic. Really like the coloring on that. And you get a little clear display stand to hold that up, so that's cool. And then you get the big goofy dragon, which I know is not really an accessory. It is him. He turns into the dragon. I don't know what to do. It's too tall. I'm gonna have to just leave it like this. So yeah, this I'm counting as an accessory though, because it's not like... Okay, so like if this figure didn't exist, if they just never made a normal Liu Kang, would you ever buy just the dragon form? I don't think so. So therefore it's a pack-in, it's an accessory. Okay, so what gets me really though is that it's not that... it's kind of a statue. I don't want to say it's not that good because it's good for what it is, but really no articulation in the tail. There's a tiny bit of movement, but it's basically just rotation, which, okay, who cares? You're never going to use that. It's not useful for anything really. Same thing up here. There's like a little bit in the torso, but not really enough to do anything. They're just very slightly posable, each joint. And really, he can't stand for crap because he's so forward heavy. You have to make sure he's leaning back pretty far. So all of the main body joints, we'll get to the head, don't really do much. For the hips, like, they don't really do much either. They rotate some, but like I said, you're not gonna be able to do that much because it has to balance, and it has to fit somewhere, by the way. Unless you're using Detolfs. If you're using like the regular Billy bookshelves or something like that from IKEA, you're gonna have a problem because he's pretty tall. He's a lot taller than your standard figure, so you might run into some issues. It's gonna look cool, but you're gonna have some issues. So really basic articulation in the joints in terms of range and whatnot. It's fine, but how useful is it gonna be? I'm thinking for like 99% of people, it's not going to be that useful. For the tiny percent of people, whatever, I don't remember what I said, I think 99. So the 1% of people who are going to do some fancy photos, you'll be able to do some, but not a ton. Shoulders have decent range, but they don't even have a bicep swivel. So they're relatively basic there. You get a swivel at the elbow, but the elbow barely even works. And then the wrist is sculpted, even though it has a little ball hinge wrist. It's sculpted to only drop the hands down. You can't really even bring the hands up or they just pop off. So again, it's fine, but it's not exactly an impressive dragon. So it's a little bit too basic, I think, for the added cost. Despite, I think it's technically worth it for the size. I'm sure it cost them that much to do it, but did we want it is the question. And so like I said, the ball pegs are still relatively limited even for the neck. There's not a lot of range there. I guess you can force it even more, so that's good. It can look down a little bit better, but okay. And then the mouth opens. It's fine, but did I want to be forced to pay $85 for it? Is it that fine? I don't know. That's a real hard sell. That's a really hard sell. So okay, accessory wise, I don't even know how to rate this. It's so weird. If I'm not counting the dragon, I will go 9. That's fine. Hands, heads, effect parts, perfect, 9. Rating the dragon, I don't know. You get a freaking dragon, so that's cool. But for the price, 7. I'm just gonna go 7. $85 for the dragon is just insane to me. Okay, very weird figure. I know this is an unorthodox somewhat release, so whatever. I'm trying my best, guys. Let's talk about his articulation. Storm's articulation, they do have a double ball peg that goes down into the body that allows the neck to flex. I'm guessing this one, oh, it's creamy. That's a buttery neck joint. Let's see. Oh yeah, his is one of the best we've seen. He can actually look down. Yeah, it collapses the chest a little bit. Don't look that close. He can actually, man, double ball pegs allow you to do so much more. Granted, these are even more than normal ones. Double ball peg is the way to go, and they just nailed it on this release. That's a little weird looking. You can probably get it to look a little better with some time. But yeah, that's pretty darn good. Shoulders are on a ball peg connected to the body. The caps are a little weird on this. They definitely made them a little bit too sculpted. They're too pointy, triangular kinda, which is to match the chest, but it just looks a little bit weird. But the arms do move around nicely, bringing them up to the side. Better than horizontal on just the ball hinge, so that's good. It's a little tight, but not like sticky tight, so that's all right. Full rotation, I don't like that the cap goes with the arm. You have to hold that in place. So yeah, the caps are a little finicky. Don't care for that, but it's not a huge deal. Bicep swivel. Ooh, the way it's sculpted, the muscles bounce into the shoulder too much. So that's going to be a little bit limiting unless you really force it. So don't love that. Double jointed elbow, though, they did give us really good range on that elbow. Even with the gauntlet on there, he's got pretty good range. So I like that. That's a pretty good elbow. These things are separate pieces. They can pop off. You can rotate them if you want to. You get the ball hinge wrists. The hands are the softer plastic, which is a good thing. They do tend to pop off if you're not careful, but it also makes them easy to swap. Ball hinges in the wrist, nice. Double ball peg in the torso. If you lean it back all the way, you get a gap, but it does lean back pretty far, so just don't go quite as far. And you won't have a gap, and then you'll be okay. Leaning forward. Again, he leans forward really far, so that's good, but you do get a gap. So if you want to look at him from the back, just don't lean him as far. You can't have it both ways. You can't have excessive range and no gapping. It has to be there, so that's reasonable. Going down to the side, that's pretty good. Yeah, and you can avoid the gapping, so I like it. This guy's a pretty good release so far. Of course, you get your rotation. I popped his head off on accident. That was my fault. Oh, that joint is definitely tight for the twisting. Be careful with the swivel. Yeah, that could be problematic, but it did lean well, so I'll give him that. Alright, so then we have the lower torso. He leans back pretty far and forward nicely, no problems there. Side to side, that's pretty good. Yeah, I like that. That's a nice joint. All in all, those are nice joints. That skeleton in there's a little twisted now. You're gonna have to be careful posing that inner ball peg up here. I mean, they're all inner. The upper ball peg, goodness. But yeah, that's okay. All right, let's look at the hips. Going out to the side. Almost full on. I'll take that. You can probably, yeah, you can get them a little bit farther. Yeah, so basically full on splits. I will take that. That's fine by me. Going forward. He kicks pretty far. All the way. And he goes back all the way. The butt will spread. That's what she said. I don't know. So yeah, plenty of range in the hips. No problem there. Thigh swivel, enough. Could be better, but it's enough. Double jointed knee. Really good range. Proportioning could be a little bit better for the lower legs, but it's not bad. It's okay. And then for the ankles, they go all the way back. That's good. No range forward. Again, Storm, why? What is that extra plastic there for? Because it looks nice, great, but I want to be able to bring the foot forward. That's super annoying. There is an ankle rocker, which is acceptable, and a toe hinge, which that one doesn't work, and this one works just fine, so that's okay. Okay, so some tiny problems in the torso, a little bit of stiffness in the joints and stuff, but ultimately it's one of their more posable, better articulated figures. I'm going to give the articulation, I'm going to go 9. It's still really good despite the fact that you have to pay a whole bunch for this figure. I don't know how to rate it. It's just weird. They put me in a pickle. Okay, so time for the final verdict for this guy and his obnoxious accessory of himself as a dragon. Final thoughts. I don't know. I'm not a fan of this. Like, nobody else got their animalities, and because nobody's gonna pay that much for other characters, but people wanted Liu Kang, so I'm guessing they figured people would pay that much to have Liu Kang. And so I think they just wanted to do the dragon, probably. So they did. It's weird. I don't get it. I don't know. Really expensive. Is it worth it? I guess if you're okay paying that much for the dragon, then yes. If you don't care at all about the dragon, then you're stuck paying $180 for just the main figure, and I don't know how to justify that. I guess I have to just say the dragon's included. It's done well enough, and you know that it's included when you're buying it, so that's the way it goes. And I'm going to give it an overall rating of 8 out of 10. Good accessories, main figure's good, the dragon's good enough. The whole idea of selling them together mandatorily, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. But Liu is a good figure and the dragon's good enough. So yeah, I'll stick with 8 out of 10. I don't know. Weird review. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos almost every single day and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.